Hello, everyone. Welcome and good evening. Oh, sorry, I think my camera did something strange there already. Welcome, all members. I hope you're all having a great start to the week. I personally can't think of a better way to start the week than with Pierre Perrin and a Côte de Rhone Blanc. So before I introduce Pierre, just a few bits of housekeeping. I'm Anna Spooner from the tastings team at the Wine Society. We've got Mahesh behind the scenes tonight. He's going to be managing all your questions, helping out on the chat, and generally doing the tech thing. So thank you and good evening, Mahesh. If you do want to use the chat, let us know where you are and what you're drinking. I know that probably you haven't managed to get your hands on the Côte de Rhone, as it literally arrived at the Wine Society at the weekend. If you have managed to get a bottle, wonderful. Can't wait to hear what you think. But this is really a launch event, so perhaps you've got another of Pierre's wines in your glass tonight. If you'd like to ask a question to Pierre, please do pop that into the Q&A. It just makes things easier for us to be able to manage the questions behind the scenes. So hopefully you can see the Q&A button. And then last but not least, if you'd like to watch this evening in speaker view, I highly recommend it so that you can see Pierre's face on a larger, big screen. If you are on a laptop, that will either be in the top or the right, top left or top right of your screen. If you're on a tablet or a phone, you may have to swipe left and right to get the speaker in full. So at the moment it would be me, but in a moment when Pierre starts talking, it would be Pierre. So I think that's everything. Oh, Mahesh always asks me to say, if you are using the chat, please select everyone. Otherwise, it's only us that can see it, not your fellow members. So Pierre Perrin. Pierre is one of the 5th generation descendants running Famille Perrin, responsible for managing vineyards, winery, and probably just about the busiest man in the Rhone. I have no doubt that, sorry, Andrew's just connecting. Hopefully not on camera, but we'll soon find out. I have no doubt that many of you on the call will be aware. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Anna. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
You're welcome to turn your camera off, Andrew, if you want to, or you can stay on and join Pierre and I. Totally up to you.
Okay. No, I'll stay. I'll go.
Okay. Fabulous. Thanks, Andrew. Andrew works with Pierre, for members who aren't aware. But yes, so I'm sure many of you will be aware of the family's wines. Perhaps you're most familiar with their most famous wine of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is Château de Beaucastel. But Pierre is going to tell us a little bit about the entire range, which also includes things like the Perrin family range, Clos de Tourelle, La Vieille Ferme, and then, of course, the reason that we're all here this evening in particular, the new addition to the Wine Society's own label range, which is our new Côte de Rhone Blanc. Sadly, our buyer for the Rhone Marcel, Orford Williams, can't join us this evening, but he's on a buying trip in Germany, and I know that he wishes us a lovely, lovely evening, and he considers Pierre a very good, dear friend. So he's delighted that the new addition to the Society's lineup is produced by Pierre and his family. So without further ado, I am delighted to welcome this evening, long-time Wine Society friend and top Rhone producer, Pierre Perrin. Good evening, Pierre. Santé.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. I hope it's clear for you and you can hear me quite well. I have to tell you something. I am not anymore in charge of business and sales, and I am having only one customer. And the only one customer, the only person I am looking after is the Wine Society. I've been working with the Wine Society for 25 years. And as you know, and as you explained, I am in charge of all technical operations, which mean vineyard, of course, harvest, winery, date of harvest, which is very important, ripening, winemaking, aging, bottling, logistic, transports. So that is my job today. That's my job for all the Perrin range. And something which is very important, and I am very proud, is that Perrin is a family. So it's Famille Perrin, you can see less and less family-owned estate. But we are very happy to be a family. and I am working with my father and my uncle. Working with my two brothers, my three cousins, and it's very important for us to speak of the family. So yes, we are, and thank you, Anna, for your presentation. We are the fifth generation. My family used to make olive oil. We had the phylloxera. Of course, the first estate we have in the family is Château de Beaucastel, that we bought in 1909. So it was just after the phylloxera. The phylloxera in south of France was between 1870 and 1900. And the de Beaucastel family, which used to own Beaucastel estate, decided to sell the vineyard because it was devastated by the phylloxera. And so my family used to be Tramier family. The Tramier family bought Beaucastel in 1909. There were one daughter and one son, of course. Tramier used to be an olives producer, quite a big olives producer. A big company now. And in fact, it was at this time when the business was done to the son, of course, but not the daughter. So the olive business was given to Tramier, Gabrielle Tramier, and Beaucastel was given to a lady, which get married with Pierre Perrin. So Pierre Perrin was my great grandfather. And Pierre Perrin is very interesting because Pierre Perrin was a scientist from Burgundy. He was working for, it's called the Station Œnologique de Bonn. So he was in Bonn. He was in a place where they are looking for a lot of research on wine. And at this stage, he was working on the way of reducing sulfites in wine. So we can talk about that, but it is very interesting. So this man get married with Mrs. Tramier, and they decided to replant Beaucastel. And at this stage, it was in 1920 or something like that. It's not like today where we are looking for color, we are looking for very good wines. We can travel to US and UK. No, in 1920, the concept was to make wine with good volume, to be able to get a little bit of money, and with a lot of alcohol. So the way was to give a lot of alcohol. And at this stage, that is very, very important. I explain that every time I'm speaking with some people. In the south of the Rhone Valley, there is a before of the phylloxera and a after of the phylloxera. Before of the phylloxera, the tradition was to make blends. In Châteauneuf-du-Pape, I'm sure you have heard of the blend of the 13 different grapes, what they call the symphony of the 13 different grapes. And the tradition in Châteauneuf-du-Pape was to make a blend of different grapes varietal to be able to make a wine. Of course, everything died, so everybody have to replant. And at this stage, and for me, it's a big mistake, all Châteauneuf-du-Pape, all the south of the Rhone Valley have replanted mainly Grenache. Why Grenache? Because Grenache is giving always a good volume and always a good alcohol level. At this stage, if you do not own of course, there were not a lot of wineries in 1920s. When you sell your grapes, the way you used to be paid was with the alcohol level and the volume level. So the more alcohol it was, the more volume it was, the more you get paid. So all the south of the Rhone Valley replanted mainly Grenache. And today, 80% of the south of the Rhone Valley is Grenache. Of course, we have replanted a little bit of Syrah because in US and the Parker and all these kind of things, I would say, okay, you need to replant Syrah because we need more color, blah, blah, blah. But basically, all the south of the Rhone Valley was red. And in Beaucastel, and it's very, very important because it's very important for us. My great-grandfather, which was a scientist, said, I don't care about what everybody is doing. I want to replant the same grapes in the same location. That's what it was before the phylloxera. So in Beaucastel, we replant the 13 different grapes varietals: Grenache, Mourvèdre, Syrah, Counoise, Terre Noire, Muscardin, Vacqueyras. Exactly the same locations that what it was before the phylloxera. It's so important because we are going to speak about balance. Of course, why we do blends in the south of the Rhone? Because there is not one grape which is perfect. We are not in Burgundy. We are not in Alsace, or the complexity is given by the blend. And also, which is very, very important, the blend is a way of doing. So all our wine, all the Perrin family wines are blends. I don't think we have, in the south of the Rhone Valley, I don't think we have one wine which is not a blend, and it's very important for it. And I'm going to speak about global warming because you asked me, and I am going to say that the best way of avoiding global warming is to do different blend. And in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, people have understood that since a lot of time. And the way we have replanted Beaucastel is very important, and I will explain. So that's a little bit of the history, of course. My father, of course, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, it's very important because he's the one which worked on the way to reduce sulfites in wine. That is very, very important for us, and I can talk on this matter. My father and my uncle was in charge of the business from 1978 when my grandfather died till 1st of January this year. And now the new generation is taking care of Beaucastel. We have created a brand which is quite strong now. It's called La Vieille Ferme. So it's a négoce wine. So we can say it's a négoce wine. So we buy grapes and we buy wines from different cooperative sellers since 1966. And we are selling this brand, La Vieille Ferme. People say the chicken wine because it's two chicken on the label. And we are very strong with this brand, very strong in rosé. And we sell that almost everywhere. And in 1996, when I came back in the business, on one hand, we had Beaucastel with people which really know how to make wine. We really know all about the viticulture and the winemaking. And on the other side, we had people from La Vieille Ferme which really know how to bottle, logistic, and that. So we have decided to create something between. So that we called Famille Perrin. And on Famille Perrin, the concept was to be the specialist of the south of the Rhone Valley. So we have invested a lot of money in buying vineyards in a little bit in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, in Gigondas, in Rasteau, in Perrins. And I know that some of you are drinking Perrins tonight, and thank you, because I'm sure you drink it because it's a great wine. In Perrins, in Ventoux, in Gigondas, in Vacqueyras. So the job of Famille Perrin, it's a gold hunter. We are not looking for the top appellation which are shining. We are looking for Ventoux. It's a good example. I know you know Ventoux. I know Wine Society, the big supporter of Ventoux, and thank you for all the Ventoux that you are doing. But Ventoux is a fantastic place. For me, it's maybe one of the top terroirs of the south of the Rhone Valley, and it's something which is very important. So the concept of Famille Perrin and the whites, we are going to speak about the white, and the white is in the ecosystem of the wines of the south of the Rhone Valley. And the concept of Famille Perrin is to have the experience from Beaucastel, from La Vieille Ferme, and to have the best terroir, small, not the big names, not the big appellation, but the one that we are proud to show to people. Say, okay, drink this Perrin, drink this Ventoux, drink this Vacqueyras. Different wine. The terroir is very important. Vacqueyras and Gigondas is 2 kilometers away, but the soil is completely different. And so that's the concept of Famille Perrin. And we have done that with my brother, my cousins, starting in 96. Today, it's not big volumic because we are limited with the vineyard. We try to extend the vineyard, but it's not easy. And Famille Perrin, that's the concept of Famille Perrin. And the way we have done the Côtes du Rhône Blanc, it's in the family Perrin concept. On the other hand, of course, you know that we are taking care of Miraval in Provence. So I'm not talking about the owner of Miraval, but Miraval is a fantastic experience for us. To make rosé wine, it is maybe the more difficult things in winemaking, because it's not a white, it's not a red. You extract a little bit because you don't want a lot of colors. So it's very sensitive to the oxidation. To make a rosé, it's very tough. To make a rosé which can travel, which can go in UK, US, Canada, everywhere, is very difficult. So it was for us, a technical point of view, it was a fantastic experience, and we continue to learn every year how to make the best rosé, and it's very good for us, for the white, for the reds, to be able to do that. So we are in charge of Miraval, and so the company now is an important company, but we really want to be on our value. So family is the first one. The blend, the importance of each grape varietal is the second one. Yes, the wine like a Vieille Ferme, I mean, value is very important for us. Balance is very important for us. I'm always taking the example of Beaucastel. In Beaucastel, the backbone of Beaucastel is 30% of Grenache. So 30 Grenache, 30 Mourvèdre. The backbone is Grenache and Mourvèdre. Why we do that? Because the Grenache is a fantastic grape. But Grenache is juicy, a lot of fruits, black fruits. But Grenache is having high alcohol. So if you want it to be good, it has to be 15% alcohol. It's low acidity. It's very sensitive to the oxidation. So we blend it with Mourvèdre. The Mourvèdre is late ripening grapes. When we harvest the Mourvèdre in Beaucastel, is never more than 13 alcohol. So Grenache is high alcohol, Mourvèdre is low alcohol. So the two together, the backbone, it's maybe 13.8, 14 alcohol. The flavors of Grenache, juicy, fruity, cherries. Mourvèdre is more tobacco, truffles, leather. So we have the complexity. Grenache is oxidative, and Mourvèdre is reductive. So that's all the chemical person will be able to know that, but the oxidation and reduction is opposite. So it's very important to have Grenache and Mourvèdre for the what we call pH can be more than 0. And the problem that the two grapes are low in acidity. So we need to find other grapes which are going to contrast, the backbone of the Grenache and Mourvèdre. Of course, we use Syrah. Syrah, I explained it a little bit before. Syrah is important for color. So we use 10% of Syrah. But Syrah in Châteauneuf-du-Pape is a little bit too hot for Syrah, too warm. And this year, we don't have any rain for, 3 months. So Syrah, it's nice, giving some black pepper spiciness, but it's always a little bit vegetal when it's too ripe, when it's too warm. So we like the Syrah, but it has to be low. It has to be low to not have this kind of flavors. And one grape which is very, very important for us is Counoise. So Counoise is the latest grape varietal that we are harvesting. We always harvest that the 15th of October. The alcohol is always 12% alcohol. The flavor is very interesting. When I say the Syrah is black pepper, we always say the Counoise is white pepper. So you have the spiciness, but it's a different spiciness. And of course, we're being late, low alcohol, high acidity. So basically, the backbone is Grenache and Mourvèdre, Syrah and Counoise. And with that, we have a balance. Of course, we have what I call salt and pepper with all the other grapes varietal, which represent 20% of the blend. And of course, there is some reds, but there are also some whites. Why do we blend some whites? Because we want to give the acidity. We have not enough acidity in our backbone. So the white grapes are important to give a little bit of freshness, acidity to the blend. So the blend is always a way to have balance. I hate wine which are too much alcohol. I hate wine that you have to wake up at night because you need the bottle of San Pellegrino because your mouth is dry. We like wine which have balance. It's even more easier to match with food. And it's very important for me in Châteauneuf-du-Pape that the balance is respected. It's a way also, I say that before, but it's a way also to reduce the effect of global warming. You know, if you are looking for the blend that we are doing in Beaucastel in 1970 and today, the percentage of Counoise has increased. Percentage of Grenache has decreased a little bit. And it's very important that it's a way to avoid any kind of excess. And that's very important. And so in the 1960s, 70s, the tradition in Châteauneuf-du-Pape and Côtes du Rhône was not to make white wine. The white grapes used to go in the red blends. So in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, we have 13 different grapes. We have 5 whites and 8 reds. Before 60s, 70s, all the white grapes used to go in the red. And in 60s, 70s, people in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, but also in Côtes du Rhône, decided to make a white wine. So the first white wine was done with the grapes that we know: Grenache, Blanc, Roussanne, Marsanne, Clairette, Bourbon. And so, but that was a tradition. And I think it is so important to understand that the blend is a way of reducing all kind of excess. It's what we are doing in all our wines. What we are doing in Beaucastel, of course, but also in Coudoulet. I know you know Coudoulet, in Perrins Nature, in all these kind of wines. All our blends, it's very important to be very, very close from the terroir, the way of winemaking, but also the balance that we need to have in wine. So this is basically the introduction of the family, of the range. Of course, in the winery, so I explained a little bit, and that is very, very important. You know, I hate to say that, but I'm going to say, if you take a berry in the vineyard, if you press it, you are going to have vegetal water with acidity, which are going to be oxidized because you don't protect it against air. So it's going to be oxidized and it will be transformed into vinegar, into white vinegar if we do anything. So my job as a winemaker is to make a contact between the skin where all the colors, the flavors, the anthocyan, the tannin are. So I need to infuse the skin with the vegetal water to extract color flavors. And that's very, very difficult because on each wine, you want a different level of extraction, different level of infusion. Like when you do tea, there are people which like strong tea, so they will infuse longer. There are people which have less infusion. There are people which are more black tea, more white teas. We do the same job. So that's the first concept. The second concept is to avoid the oxygen because we don't want it to be vinegar. So you can avoid oxygen basically in 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. They find a way which was to use sulfites, which is an antioxidant, which avoid the oxidation of the must into vinegar. So in Beaucastel, it's very important. I explained to you, my great-grandfather was working for Station de Bonne, and we are doing in Beaucastel, it's very, very important for us. The oxidation is so important. And if you take all vintage of Beaucastel, you will see that if you compare all vintage of Beaucastel and the all vintage of any other different Châteauneuf-du-Pape producer, you will see there is a difference in terms of oxidation. We have a process in Beaucastel that is very important for us, and we try to avoid this transformation, and the oxidation is very important. But oxidation is the same for the paint of your car or the skin or your skin or of anything like that. When you use a cream, you avoid the oxidation of the skin. When you use a polish on your car, you avoid the oxidation of the paint. So that's very, very important, and we are very, very proud of doing that. Today, of course, there is a lot of wine which don't use any sulfites. I'm sure you have plenty of natural, organic. So today it's more simple because we use tannin to avoid the oxidation of the wine. So wine from Spain, from Languedoc, from Rhone, with a high percentage of tannin, it's a good protection against oxidation. But at this stage, it was a different way of doing. This is it. So I don't know, maybe if you want to ask if there is any question, or we can speak about the wine, or.
Yeah, I think I'd be very excited to speak about the wine. No questions yet. I think everyone's just been in awe listening to you, Pierre. It was really fascinating. And I have to say, I was most interested to hear about the increase in Counoise. We actually had Jason Haas on last week from Tablas Creek, and that's the only, so members who don't know, actually, Pierre, would you be able to maybe say a couple of things about them? Some members may have seen him last week and may not have made the connection.
The Tablas, so in fact, my father and my uncle have been looking for a place to invest in California, and the concept was not to buy in Napa and Sonoma Valley or in wherever it was. The concept was to find a land where they can plant the varietal that we have in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So we have our importer in US is Vineyard Brands, and Vineyard Brands used to be owned by a man called Robert Haas, and Bob Haas, which used to be the importer of Petrus in US, and quite someone in New York. And so Robert Haas and Jean-Pierre and François have decided to invest in a parcel of land in Central Coast, California, to be able to plant some Rhone varietal. So it was in 1989, and we have also, so it's a Perrin family and Haas family. We used to have also Faller family from Alsace. They are partners, small partners, but they are partners, which is very important for us. And we used to have some small partners, but the Perrin family and Haas family has created the vineyard. So we bought the land, and we have done in Beaucastel. It's also very important. We have done, at this stage in California, there were a lot of, we call that suitcase clones. People take in the suitcase some plant and they replant, because the laws and the regulation in US was very strong to not import any disease or anything in US, which is quite normal. So a lot of people have imported the vines in the vineyard, in the suitcase, and I've planted the vineyard with a clone, with suitcase clone. And our concept was different. We say, no, we really have to go through all the process in US to import our own grace varietal. So basically, we have done a selection in Beaucastel. We say it's a massal selection. I don't know if you know that, but massal selection is, instead of going in the nursery and buying plants that you don't know where it is coming from, you go in your vineyard, and after 3 years, you select a few vines with a good crop, no disease, and you look and you put a mark on it, and after 1, 2, 3 years, you have 2 or 3 plants which you feel it's good. So you take the roots off and you send that to in US. In US, you have to go through the University of Geneva in New York. They have a plot of Grenache and they have to check virus. So they do a ELISA test, and they kept the plant for 2 years in Geneva, New York, and after 2 years, the plants were virus-free. So we have a virus-free certificate for the plants and also for the rootstock. So we had to create in California nursery to, from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, graft the rootstock and the vinifera, plant, and when it's strong enough to plant the vineyard. So all the vineyards of Tablas has been planted with one pot of Grenache, one pot of Mourvèdre, one pot of Syrah, and one pot of Roussanne. So it's quite a fantastic experience. And today, Jason has, some of you talked with last week. Jason is the son of Bob. He's now the GM of the vineyards, and he's doing great wines in California with the origin of Beaucastel. So it's very interesting. And he's very, very passionate, and like we are on organic. I'm sorry, one of the main important things in Beaucastel is organic. But for me, organic is not a marketing point of view. Organic is a way of producing grapes. So we are natural or organic in Beaucastel since 1947. So it's not even something which I don't have to say it, because it's
in the DNA.
It's in DNA of Beaucastel, and so Tablas is doing the same thing. And today we are very, very strong with. I'm sure we talk about the regenerative viticulture and all that. So in Tablas and in Beaucastel, we are working a lot in the life of the soil. We are very, very not strong, but we are really looking and working for this kind of things, and it's what we are doing in Tablas and in Beaucastel also, and also in Perrins. So we are member of IWCA, which is the International Wineries for Climate Actions, with Miguel Torres. We are member of SWR. We are members of the Regenerative Foundation. So it's very, very important for us in the DNA of Perrins, the soil, the ecosystem, the sous-sol, subsoil, I don't know. It's so important. We are building a new winery in Beaucastel. Just crazy. The way we are doing the winery, it's all about respecting the soil, what the generation before us gave us, and what we will be able to give to the next generation. So it's very interesting. And I think it's for why the family is very strong in Beaucastel and family Perrin as family, because it's a way of making things continue. So that's it. Speaking about the wine of the white wine of Perrin that I have here also. I have one bottle left. The rest is in your warehouse. I like, and when Marcel and the people from our society say, okay, we are going to do white, I think that was the perfect things to do. Of course, we have done some reds. Of course, we are producing some red wines with you, but the white is something which is very important. And I have explained before, it's not new, but before the 70s, the white grapes used to go in the red blend. So today, we are producing whites from different vineyards. So we have different parts where we have white grapes. We have one in Ventoux, which is very nice, and we are producing a little bit of white in Ventoux. We have in Orange, so just close to Beaucastel, in Cotes du Rhône, in Côte du Rhône grapes. We have some also on the other side in Saint-Gervais, and so we make a blend of 3 or 4 different origins to make this wine, which is Grenache, which is Marsanne and Roussanne. So of course I explained Grenache. We have the same problem. We have the same problem with Grenache in the white and in the reds. I mean, the white Grenache is always a good grape, but you always have to be careful with the alcohol level. We really want to keep the freshness, the purity of Grenache. So of course, for the whites, it's more easy because on the reds you need to have the one which is ripened, and for the whites, it's more easy. So we harvest this ripe, but not overripe. And it's what we are doing, and we blend it with Roussanne. and Marsanne. So I'm sure you know that Roussanne, Roussanne, roux is brown in French. So
okay.
Roussanne it's a grape which is that we love. The number one grape in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Château de Beaucastel, Blanc. Everybody is having Grenache Blanc in Châteauneuf, and in Beaucastel we are using Roussanne. So Roussanne, it's originally from Savoie, so close to the Alps. Roussanne used to be in Hermitage, but everybody has stopped to produce Roussanne because Roussanne is sensitive to everything. Oxidation, being brown, sensitive to oxidation, dryness, color. It's a terrible grape. When it's good, when you harvest it at the good moment, at the good timing, it's a fantastic grape. So we really like Roussanne, and we blend it with Marsanne. So Marsanne is more acidic. So in Hermitage now you have almost only Marsanne, and we do a blend which is nice. We have the Grenache Blanc, the Roussanne, which is rich and dense, and the Marsanne where there is more acidity. And we do this blend of Grenache, Marsanne, and Roussanne. And when we did the blend with Marsanne, we found that it was a good way for the balance. You know, my concept of balance is the same if you are in the red Châteauneuf-du-Pape or in the white Côte d'Or. So it's what we have done. So winemaking, of course, you cannot harvest Grenache Blanc, Marsanne, and Roussanne at the same time. So we harvest grapes by grapes. So if you come in September and if you try in the winery, you would try the pure Grenache, pure Marsanne, and pure Roussanne. And we do the blend we wait that all the fermentation are finished to make the blend. So the blend is in January, February, where we do the percentage and we decide with what we have to make the blend that is the good balance, the best way of doing it.
And so how do you decide the blend, Pierre? Do you do that blind? Is there a team of you? Who decides the blend at the end when you're choosing?
So for the blend in general, I think we think that it's very important that the family is taking the decision of the blend. You know, in this job that we are doing to make wine, you have only one experience in 1 year. There is not a lot of work of job when you have 40 experience or 35 or 45 in your life. So the blend is very important. You really have to know what you have today, what it will become in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, depending on the ability that the wine is having to age. But it's very important. So for us, when we blend, we really like to have my father, my uncle, ourselves. And even if we have our kids, I have 3 kids, I have 2 girls, 22, 20, who are not working with us. But even if we can have the passation, the tasting together, is so important. If you look at the people, I start my job in 96. 96, we used to have a Parker orientation with red wine, a very rich and dense oak, new oak, American oak. Today there is no anymore American oak in wine. I mean, maybe in US, of course, but in France. So things are changing. The climate is changing. The way that enologists are working is changing. So it's very important that we anticipate this kind of problematic and be involved in all generations to be able to make a wine which is going to age and stay with our DNA in the blend, in the balance, and it's what make Famille Perrin. So that's very important. So for this wine, we have done it with Marcel. I like but Marcel is, I think he's not here, so I can say, but he he knows perfectly the wine from Alsace. So he's looking for richness in the south of the Rhone Valley, but also freshness. And it's something that I like, and we have done this blend. And even if the bottle was 2 months ago, it's already fresh, and the noise I think is quite well. So I like that.
It really does have a beautiful freshness, Pierre. I'm guessing this hasn't seen oak at all. This is a stainless steel wine, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost 100% stainless. It's a little bit, but it's only convenience. It's not a choice to have oak in this wine. But I like that. I like the aromatic. It's not too heavy wine that what we were looking for. That.
And I've had a member ask in the Q&A, and I thought I'd clear it up. Our website is quite limited. So Lance, I think it's Lance, has asked about, has said that the website says it's Grenache. That's just a pure issue with our website that we can't put the exact blend on. So Pierre, would you mind giving us even just a rough estimate about the percentages or quantities of each of the grapes?
I think it is. I don't have my the thing that the quality person gave me every day, but
a rough estimate. I'm sure.
I think for you to give an idea, I'm sure it's 50% Grenache Blanc. It's 25-30 Roussanne and 20 Marseille, something like that. I think it's okay, because the Grenache is not the grapes which are going to give the flavor. So the flavor is more Marsanne and Roussanne. I honestly like the nose of this wine.
Yeah, I think it's lovely.
And in the mouth is more Grenache because it's open. It's a wine which is we are very much into wine and food pairings and all that. So the wine and food pairing, we are in a Mediterranean Sea, so we use a lot of olive oil and that. So we have our wine. It's a wine which is going to match with a lot of food. It can be with fish for Mediterranean, with acidic olive oil. It can be with sushi. It can be with tuna. It can be with mullet. It can be with salads. So it's a easy wine to pair for me. And we have chosen screw caps, of course. It's something which is important. I'm for this kind of wine, I love screw caps, because screw caps, it's good. We keep the freshness, we keep the body of the wine, and it's what I like.
Do you bottle any of white wines under cork?
We do a little bit on Perrin, what we call Perrin Reserve or wine. We do. There is some markets which are not ready for screw caps, and the French market is one of them. Japanese market. We are having a fantastic success with this kind of wine in Japan, because they are, the purity, the freshness going very well with Japanese food, or it's that the kind of wine that has which are very, very good.
We've had a couple of members, if it's all right, Pierre, whilst we're talking about the white wine. We've had one member ask, I think it depends what they're tasting this evening, but asked to compare it. How does it differ from, one member is drinking the Luberon Blanc and would like to know the difference. And then another is drinking the Nature Blanc, which is your Van Sobe, I believe. So yeah. How would you compare the wine to those?
So the Luberon Blanc, it's in a Luberon mountain, so it's a little bit higher in altitude. The blend is completely different on Luberon Blanc because we are using Uni Blanc and Bourboulenc, and we also use a little bit of Grenache Blanc. So the La Vieille Ferme Blanc is more acidic, less body in the mouth, plus tendu, we say in French. I don't know the name for that in English, but and that's basically what you have on Luberon. The freshness, the acidity, but it's more yeah, that's the Luberon, yeah. And the Perrin Nature, so it's our organic wine, so it's certified organic. Yes, it is coming from Ventoux, from the vineyard. All our vineyards are certified organic. So after that, some of them are certified organic. Some of them we put it on the label. Some of them we don't put on the label. In Beaucastel, we never had EcoCert logo on the bottle of Beaucastel. So for us, organic is more a way of doing than the way of marketing issue or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Perrin Nature, it's grapes, fantastic grapes, same thing, Grenache Blanc. Little bit of Viognier in Perrin Nature, so very, very little, but a little bit of Viognier that we produce from our vineyard in Ventoux, with which we make the Côte du Rhône, which is called Perrin Nature. There is a little bit of oak also in Perrin Nature. So it's more 20% of oak in it. And but it's a wine with good body, less nose. For me, it's less nose. It's more. I like the balance of this wine. Mm-hmm. I like the way that you have the flavors, the mouth, and it's what I like in this wine.
Fantastic, thank you so much. I'm conscious of time, Pierre. I know that we thought we were going to talk about a couple of other bits. I have got some more questions, but I will save them just because I know that there are a few members who will be interested in hearing. I worked a vintage last year, and 2021 was my first vintage, and I worked it in the Rhone, and it was a challenging vintage. And I wondered if you might be able to tell members what to look for in 2021 Rhone wines.
2021 was challenging. More challenging for reds than for whites. So the reds, it was challenging vintage for me. So the reds, we have a little bit of rain, so the ripeness was not here. It's always difficult when it's not ripened, when you have rain, to decide if you harvest before or if you harvest after. That's always the same problem. So for the reds, we have a big storm at the end of the harvest. So a lot of people say, okay, don't care, we will harvest later. Some people decided to harvest before. So the wines which have been harvested before were not enough ripeness. And the wines which have been harvested later, more ripeness, but more mold, and so more difficult. For the whites, it was perfect because the whites, you harvest them before. For me, it's a fantastic vintage for the white. We always say, and there is not a lot of examples which are not saying that the good vintage for the reds are bad vintage for whites, and bad vintage for whites are good vintage for reds. I don't have a lot of examples when it's good vintage for red and white. No, for the whites, we managed to harvest exactly at the good timing, before the rain. Good ripeness and good acidity. It's very important for the white to have ripeness and acidity. So for me, the condition for whites was perfect. The problem of 2021 was the reds for the late ripening terroir or late ripening grace variety. So the end of the Grenache in Châteauneuf and the beginning of the Mourvèdre. And one example is that I don't know, I don't remember the date, but I think something like 25 or 26 of September, we had 100 millimeters of rain in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. In Ventoux, so it's 40 kilometers north of here, 0. So 2021 will be heterogene, so you will have to take the good one. For sure, Ventoux is my number one appellation for 2021. So Ventoux, Bison, Saint-Maurice, all this kind of place. Gigondas is very good. Châteauneuf, you will have some top wines, and so on, which is going to be more difficult. That was the challenge of 2021. And speaking about 2022, because it's also important, the condition this year is very dry. So no rain at all for 3 or 4 months. The dryness for me is equivalent of what we had in August last year. So we are really much looking for rain. And as you know, in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, we are not allowed to put rain on the vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it will be challenging. It will be challenging, but it's also the interest of our job. You know, we never have 1 year which is the same as the year before.
Do you find, Pierre, because you do pay such attention to the farming and the soil, do you find that your vineyards actually can cope with those drought seasons slightly better than some of your neighbors? Or
for sure, for sure. First thing is that all the historical terroirs are where the vines can find water. Not a lot, but you know, with the root system which can go into water, you know. So the place which are going to suffer is the place which are the new place for wine in France. But so the old place for wine, I'm sure they would suffer less than all the other places. So yeah, the roots. The roots is very important. The weight, the plant, the age of the vine is very important. And but at a certain point, we will need water, by the way. So, but yeah, for sure. Châteauneuf-du-Pape, the way the distance between two vines. In Châteauneuf-du-Pape, it's 2 meters, 2 meters. So you have 2 vines, 2 meters, 2 meters. In Burgundy or in Bordeaux, it's 0.6 or 0.7 again 1.2 meters. So it's all depending of the place. Or you want the vines to expand is the root system. That's very important. You know, the under the soil is maybe more important than upper the soil, like iceberg. And the soil, the life of the soil, is what we are doing in agroforestry, agrodiversity. The way we maintain the soil, it's so important for this kind of aspect. But of course, if we have every year plus 2 degrees Celsius, at a certain point we will have problems. So that leads us, we will have it.
Yeah, that leads us quite nicely on to our final topic we were going to discuss, which we sort of touched on global warming a little bit, but just generally, what do you think the future is for the Southern Rhône?
I think that many things. First one, the blend. It's for why I explained about the blend, but the blend is very important. A blend, you know, I am buying wine. I love wines from Burgundy. Honestly, I love wines from Burgundy. And I have a little. It's not a wine society. I'm sorry, but next to my office. So in my house, I'm not having any wines from Perrins, from Beaucastel, because I drink enough in my office. So and when I go to my little wine retailer, I used to buy entry-level wine, which is Chauray-les-Bonnes. Chauray-les-Bonnes, in 3 years, it's so from 2017 to 2019 that they are selling now. Used to be 12.5 alcohol with good acidity, good freshness, to 14.5 alcohol. When you have only Pinot, so I love Burgundy, I'm not saying anything about that. But when you have only Pinot, you have to take the decision of harvesting at 14.5, assuming that the alcohol is high, or harvesting before the ripeness. When you can do blends, I mean, maybe in 10 years, I'm sorry to say that, but maybe in 10 years, you will have some Syrah and Burgundy, and they will make a blend of Syrah and Pinot. Maybe in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, the percentage of Counoise will be not 10%, but 20%. Maybe the yield, you know, when you have more yield, the alcohol is lower. So maybe people have to think about on certain varietal, discuss about the yield per hectares of this kind of grapes. And also, you know, if you look at the last 10 years, yes, there was some global warming, but there were also some rained a lot. There were also some frost last year, very, very late. So we have to manage it. But that's the agriculture.
Yeah.
That's for why there is less and less people taking care of agriculture. Agriculture is to be able to accept the conditions. And it's very important. But it's a long-term process. Also for why we are members of IWCA. I'm very, very close from sustainability. It's very important. So we're having plenty of things. We have bees everywhere. We try to, the carbon footprint is something that we are very aware. I don't want to say we cannot do anything. I think we are able to do a lot. The agriculture is very important. The way we are doing agriculture is very important. The soil, the yeast, the yeast. The yeast. We are in Beaucastel. In Beaucastel and Perrins, we do not use any commercial yeast. We don't buy yeast on the market. We have our own yeast in the winery. And in fact, 10 years ago, we have worked with a laboratory to look at the yeast that we have in the cellar of Beaucastel. So we have maybe 100 or 120 different kinds of yeast. And one of the yeast that we have isolated is a natural yeast, but to make 1 degree of alcohol, a normal yeast is eating 16.83 grams of sugar. That's basically, you need 16.83 grams of sugar to produce after fermentation 1 degree of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
The yeast that we have isolated, which is a natural yeast of Beaucastel, 1 out of 120, needs 18.5 grams of sugar to make 1 degree of alcohol. That's very nice. So if you are able to inoculate the yeast that you want, it's going to eat more sugar to make 1 degree of alcohol. Don't know if it's clear, but there is things like that. But you cannot stay seated in your office waiting for things to happen. You need to be in the vineyard. You need to be in the winery. Of course, that in France, we cannot add any water in the wine. You can do that in US. You can do that in a lot of places, but here we cannot. You can irrigate the grapes, not in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Maybe it will be the case in this summer, but we can irrigate. But you cannot add any water in the wine. So we have to fight with the arms that we have, and to fight the arms that we have is the dryness, the roots, the soil, the yeast, the blend, and that's it. But it can happen, and I'm sure what is happening now is very nice, in fact, because if we don't have the challenge of global warming, we will not be active as we are in the vineyard, in the winery, in the way of producing grapes. So it's a good challenge, and it's a challenge that we are happy
busy.
Keep us busy.
So I'm going to wrap up, if it's all right with Pierre, with one last question, which is a bit of a generic question, but we're hosting an event on how wines age tomorrow, and we've had lots of members asking about how your wines age, and it would be very interesting to hear, particularly, I guess, because if the blends are changing and things like that. One member mentioned whether global warming might be changing the ageability of wines. But roughly, would you say, give some drink dates perhaps on your range from Beaucastel down to our new Côte de Rhone Blanc? That would be lovely.
I think the aging, of course, if you do a different blend, the aging will be a little bit different, but not as much as 2 different wine. The aging, because aging, for a chemistry person like I am, sometimes it's oxidation, basically. Mm-hmm. Aging is a way that the flavors and the aromas are going to change with the oxidation, with the polymerization. So I don't think the percentage of different grapes that you're changing a little bit is going to change roughly the aging of the wine. It changed a lot when they have decided to do 100% Grenache in Châteauneuf-du-Pape at the end of the phylloxera. It's for why I started the presentation today with the phylloxera, because in phylloxera we had to change something, or not. And today it's quite the same challenge. We have to do something or not. Some people are going to do it. Some people are not going to do it. But I'm sure the wine going to age, and also the style of the wine, because as I explained before, 20 years ago, everybody want to have a Parker rated wine with a lot of richness of tannin. Today, nobody is able to drink that anymore. Maybe two or three of you, but the high percentage of people want elegance, want freshness, want wine not more easy, but more. So things are changing. That's normal. And I think the aging, when we change a little bit the blend, it's going to change a little bit. But it will be quite interesting to drink them in few years and months. There is one technical. It is very interesting. There is some people. So that's also modernity and research. There is some laboratory in Bordeaux. When you sign your wine, so you sign your 2019 bottle of Beaucastel, and they have all a protocol to be able to age the wine faster than with age, in fact. Okay. So they use warm temperature, cold temperature. They have to look at why the wine is aging, what the phases, and those that after 20 years, what it will be. And in 6 months, they do all the phases and all that, and you can taste wine which is fastly aged, and it's quite interesting. And we have done that with people from Bordeaux, and all the vineyard in Bordeaux is doing this kind of things. It's fascinating. And so it's also, the modernity is also interesting in winemaking, in wine business. We have to take a little bit of modernity and to keep a bit of tradition, but a good ratio, a good mix between that. For us is very important, and what we want to do in Beaucastel and Pierre Perrin. So yeah, of course it will change a little bit the aging of the wine. Our taste is going to age. The taste of your kids will not be the same than yours. Taste of your parents was not the same than yours. And in fact, we have to be able to adapt that. And I mean, I don't want to be defeatist. I don't know if you say that in English, but we have the agriculture. If you look at since day one, the agriculture have to find a way to adapt their way of doing with climate, soil, terroir, human, people, war. We have to be able to adapt to something. We have to adapt last year with COVID, where nobody was in the vineyard. We have to adapt with dryness this year. And that's the agriculture. And wine is agriculture also. So it's very interesting.
Well, it sounds like you're adapting brilliantly, Pierre.
We try. We try.
As I said at the beginning of the presentation, I think one of the busiest mans in the Rhone. So there we go.
Yeah, but it's nice, But if you look at the permaculture, the way people are, the plant, it's crazy, because a plant is 80% of water, and we don't have water for the plant. So things are going to move. I mean, maybe tomorrow we will produce leaves that will be able to extract water, and will irrigate the plant with the water from the leaf. I mean, the world is 80% of water, and we don't have water. So for me, it's fascinating, and the regulations, the way that we will have to adapt to this kind of situation is crazy. And you will find the nice people in agriculture by the way they adapt to the situation.
Well, Pierre, thank you so much for this evening. Honestly, it's been absolutely fascinating and a pleasure to talk to you. I've lots of members agreeing on the side, and lots of members very grateful for you giving your time up tonight. For those of you who haven't managed to get a bottle yet of its newly launched, it is now available on the website. I have absolutely loved it, Pierre, and I do think I'm going to try it with sushi. So I'll be getting myself another bottle to taste. I can completely imagine it, members. It's fresh, it's really lovely, juicy as well. So yes, do get a bottle. And Pierre, once again, a huge thank you, and to all the team at Famille Perrin who helped pull this evening together. I've had an absolute blast, and I do hope to see you again soon, Pierre.
Yeah, I'm maybe not answer to all the questions that I see. I'm sorry if there is some question. I will be happy to answer anytime. Oh. And Anna, please let me know. And thank you. You know, that's it's always a great pleasure to discuss with the member of the Wine Society. I find the organization of the Wine Society absolutely brilliant, and the passion that we can share. It's maybe why it is my only customer that I'm following now, is because we share passion. And every time I'm speaking to the members, I can see that we share that together. So thank you, Anna. I say my best to all the team of the Wine Society, and thanks for everybody for being able to follow this discussion and a little bit tasting today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Take care.
Thank you, members.
Bye. Take care.